Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Female Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Danny, and in today's episode of the podcast, I'm actually going to talk about having moved house recently for what feels like the hundredth time in the past few years, and some of the lessons I've either learned through that process or that have been re-emphasized to me. And I'm obviously going to relate this back to all things health and fitness. So, whether you're on your own journey or whether you're a coach supporting clients on theirs, it will be relevant for you. And some of the points very much relate to kind of coaching as well. So, hopefully, you benefit from this episode of the podcast. I'm just going to kind of talk quite freely through it and share a little bit about the insights and lessons that have come my way. And for a little bit of background, I have basically temporarily moved back to my mum's house. It is a temporary move, but it's a move nonetheless, and it's always far more hectic moving than you realize it's going to be. I have lived in Manchester for the last around 3 years. Absolutely loved Manchester. Lived in the city centre for the first two and then moved to Didsbury at the start of this year and loved every single area. Like had such fun. I have so many memories in Manchester. I still have an incredible group of friends there who I will visit regularly. But it was just kind of the right move for me to move back home for a period of time, whilst I'm in a bit of a transition period and decide where I want to go next. But that's kind of my background there. And as I mentioned, I was basically in why I say I've moved house slash flat a lot is because for the first 2 years in Manchester, I lived in two separate flats in the city centre. So the first year I lived in one set of flats. The second year I moved in with one of my best friends, Beck, in a different area of the city centre, and then obviously moved to Didsbury and lived with Sasha for a bit. And like I said, loved all of those different flats and had an incredible time. But it's just kind of my time to move back home temporarily whilst I figure out my next move. But onto some of the lessons I've learned or lessons that have kind of been re-emphasized to me. The first one is if you have a messy space around you, you will often have quite a messy head. So, something I'd urge you to do if, and this is especially relevant, I think, to those of you who are coaches or anyone who kind of runs your own business or even works from home or anything like that. If you ever feel like your thoughts are really messy, you can't concentrate, you can't come up with any ideas that you're really proud of, I would always check your environment because when things are, I mean, some people function well in mess, and I do understand that. But if you're someone like me, you don't function well in mess. Like, if things are messy, for me, my thoughts also feel messy. So if I ever feel a bit scrambled, I'll always check my environment first. And sometimes having a bit of a clean and tidy will do me the world of good and will mean that my thoughts just become so much more clearer. I'm able to be more productive and efficient with work. And so I'm really careful about keeping my environment clean and tidy. And this is something that becomes more apparent when you're moving flat or house and your stuff is all over the place. Because I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast will have moved at some point or another, but you'll know that when you've got all of your stuff in boxes all over the place, when you haven't got space to store all of your stuff, it's just like, oh my God, how do I even function properly? So that's a lesson that, of course, I already knew, but was definitely re-emphasized to me when I moved. And one of the first things I did this time when I got in was just made sure that everything was put away. Like that was my number one task was just to make sure that everything was organized. I knew where all of my stuff was. I've got a desk that's tidy and that's clean and that I know I can use without being disturbed. So if you're a coach yourself, that is something that I would always advise you do is just check your environment, make sure you keep it clean and tidy, and make sure that you've got a space of some kind that you know you won't be disturbed if that is physically possible, which I fortunately have. at my mum's house, which I'm really grateful for. But yeah, if you've ever got a messy head, it could be a relatively easy fix if you check your environment first. Another lesson that has kind of, I guess, been one that I've learned over the years of kind of living in lots of different places, as well as being in Manchester. I was also in Australia for 6 weeks over Christmas, and I've kind of semi-lived in other countries as well for periods of time. And this is a lesson that has always been emphasized to me, especially when I have been abroad, I think that home isn't a place, it is a feeling. And for me, that feeling of home is where I feel like I can relax and be my true, authentic self. It's not about like a specific location, but instead it's about the feeling that's created in the location that you are. And for me, having good people around who I feel like I can be myself around definitely contributes to this. But also, I guess for me, it's being able to live my life in a way that makes me happy and a way that allows me to be myself and support myself. Like that feels homely. So having my own routines makes me feel like I'm at home, kind of. Having great people around, being somewhere that I feel like I can relax and be myself. Um, for me, I think an example of the kind of opposite for that, and I guess a place which emphasized that um where I guess location does feed into it to some extent is I love Dubai, but when I'm in Dubai, I don't necessarily feel like I am my true authentic self, like my most relaxed self. I just feel like the place doesn't facilitate that as much as other places do. So place definitely factors into it, but also the people that are there. Um, and the people that you're around, and obviously different places in Dubai definitely have a different feeling. But what I'm talking about is where I went in Dubai and the places that I was, the kind of busy touristy places, I guess, don't make me feel like I can be my true, authentic, most relaxed self. But other places might. That's just my own experience, I guess, and a lesson I kind of learned when I was over there. But yeah, home is not a specific location, it is a feeling, and you can feel at home somewhere completely different in the world if you have a place which allows you to be your true authentic self and you're with people that allow you to be that way, in my opinion. And if you're able to create the life that makes you feel yourself in a place. Um, and again, the reason moving has kind of emphasized this to me as well is that Manchester feels like home to me in a way. Like all my friends are in Manchester and I lived there for 3 years. There are so many aspects of it that I love. Kind of feels like a home, but Sheffield also feels like a home. So it's not about like just a specific place. It's not like Manchester is my home or Sheffield is my home. It's like I feel at home in Manchester, but I also feel at home in Sheffield. And I think that's an incredible realization that you can kind of make a home anywhere because it's about the feeling, not the place. So that's something that I thought I would share with you guys. And another one is that you always have, this is quite a simple one, but it is, I guess, reiterated to me every single time I move. You always have more stuff than you realize. Like the amount of times where I've been like, oh yeah, I'll just move myself, I'll be fine. It'll only take me one car journey. It never only takes one car journey. You always have more stuff than you realize. And leading on from this point, which kind of ties into the messy space, messy head point, is that I think we should all probably have a clear out more often than we do. And like I said, this ties into that messy space, messy head point because I think if we had a clear out slightly more often, we'd probably find it easier to keep our space clean and tidy and therefore be more productive and efficient. And we would have more room in our heads for other things and potentially a little bit more money as well if we say we had a clear out and we sold things on Vinted or whatever. potentially make more money for new things in our lives. So that's something to take into account if you're ever in a position where you're moving, or generally as you go through life, be thinking about a clear out. Maybe we should all schedule one a little bit more often. I also think that moving is such an incredible opportunity for reflection, and for setting intentions moving forwards. And although you don't have to wait for a big life change like moving, I think it's a great opportunity because it is an opportunity for a fresh start. It's an opportunity to create and curate a new environment, to have a clear out, to kind of start afresh. And so I think if you're in a transition phase, or even if you're in, I don't know, a phase of your life where you're trying to make a decision on what your next move is and you're unsure of that, I think reflection is always a great idea to help inform those choices. Because if we can reflect on the choices that we've made previously, or the path that we've taken, or the lessons that have been given to us, it will give us so much more direction, and we'll be so much more likely to make the right decisions for ourselves moving forwards than if we are to just blindly kind of go through life. And I think if we use times like moving, or I don't know, even holidays and stuff as an opportunity to, as a bit of a checkpoint, like, okay, every time I go on holiday, or every time I move, or every quarter, I'm going to have a reflection and I'm going to set my intentions moving forwards, we would be so much more better off because we'd be moving in the right direction. We'd be learning from the experiences we've had, as opposed to just blindly going through life and kind of potentially moving in the wrong direction. So reflection and intention setting, a game changer. Again, whether you're someone going through your own health and fitness journey, you've got your own goals, or whether you're a coach supporting clients with theirs and you have your own business goals, reflection and intention setting is, in my opinion, a game changer. It's something that I always refer back to. And I think it's something that will make a big difference to the trajectory of our lives, whether that be our personal lives, our health and fitness journeys, or our business and work lives. So, yeah, reflection and intention setting is something that we should be doing more regularly. The last kind of big lesson, I guess, that I wanted to share with you is that your environment has a huge impact on your productivity and your overall headspace. So, when I am in an environment with distractions, for example, say I'm living at home right now, if there's a day where I know that I have family members in the house, which fortunately for me, most of my family are out in the day, so I have a productive space to work through the day, which I'm so, so grateful for. I obviously love them to pieces and love them when they come back in an evening, but I have the house to myself most of the day, which is super handy for me whilst I'm temporarily living at home. But when I do have distractions present, when family are around, and they need to work, I make an effort to get out and work in coffee shops or co-working spaces, or creating an area of my living environment where I know I won't be distracted. So I think that's super important if you're somebody who is running your own business, if you're a coach, for example. I would strongly advise trying to create an area of your house, of your living environment, where you know you won't be distracted. Or if there's always going to be distractions present, try and get out to a coffee shop or join a co-working space. There are loads out there these days. Some of them are relatively affordable if you can get to one that does like a monthly subscription thing where you can access the co-working part of the quote unquote office. So I would always advise looking into that kind of thing because I think it can be an absolute game changer. I am thinking of joining one myself here in Sheffield once I have kind of sussed the vibes and decided which one I want to join, and which one is going to be good for me. And after I've sort of initially settled, because I've only been here a few weeks, so we will see. But that is something that I plan on doing. And I'd always recommend as well, like, again, this applies to you whether you're on your own journey or whether you're a coach. I'd always advise connecting with people in your local area because if you're on your own health and fitness journey, it can make such a big difference to have a community around you of people who are like-minded, who are also taking care of themselves in whatever way is relevant to you and your goals, or even in different ways. It can just be nice to have people around you who care about their health and are investing in themselves to kind of set that standard and make it feel more normal what journey you're on and support you and for you to support them with their goals. That I think that in-person support is a game changer and it's something that a lot of people are missing these days. And I think if you're a coach, having a network of like-minded coaches again is an absolute game changer. It is something that has honestly made my career in health and fitness so much more enjoyable and has heavily contributed to my success is having a network of like-minded coaches who I can talk to, bounce ideas around with, who I look up to, who I can learn from. And again, I think it's something that's often neglected because of the kind of competitive nature of the health and fitness industry. When in reality, if we all worked together more often, I think that people would be happier and more successful. And if people were open to learning from each other rather than trying to pretend like they always have the answers or having this mindset of always having to be right about everything because nobody is right about everything. And I think we all have a lot to learn from each other, every single one of us. Um, so that is my words of wisdom to share with you today, guys. I really hope that you took something from today's episode of the podcast. If any of you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out because I'm genuinely always more than happy to reach out. And I hope you will have a wonderful rest of your day.